Hello my friends, this is Jeannie. Welcome to my channel. For those who are returning visitors, welcome back and thank you. I am here to share with you a tutorial on how to make some Christmas cards using some supplies from my stash. If you watch my videos, you know I have a large stash. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm going to use for this particular project. So I am going to use some of these cards in an instant, and here's the SKU for those who may be interested in picking up a pack of these awesome versatile cards. I am also going to use some distress inks. In this case, I am going to use Vintage Photo. You don't need the distress ink. That's just something I like to do. I'm also going to be doing some heat embossing. So I have my Versamark. Of course, you can use whatever brand works for you. I have some Wow embossing powder, and this one is called Metallic Gold Rich. Hopefully you can make that out. Of course, I need my anti-static tool. I'm also, in addition to the journaling cards, going to be using a couple of extra panels, and I will show you. I am going to be using a panel that is 4.5 by 3.5. I will be using a strip of cardstock, and this is cardstock that I had left over from my first Christmas card project. I was left with these 8.5 by 4 strips of cardstock, and it is beautiful Stampin' Up! Cardstock. I was not going to let that go to waste. So what I did was I took that cardstock, folded it in half, and all I did was line up the edges, fold it in half, and use a bone folder to create a nice crisp fold so that I have a top folding card. Okay, so using this as a base, this as a panel on top of that, and adding to that the journaling card, which is a 4x3 size journaling card, using a sentiment stamp set, and it's a stamp set by Lawn Fawn, and here it is, and this one's called Winter Scripty Sayings, one of my all-time favorite, and I used the Merry Christmas right here. I used that one. So using these 3 panels, that stamp, stamped across here, and heat embossed, I made this awesome card. Isn't that the cutest thing? Love it. And as you can see, where I used the distress ink, I used the distress ink to distress the edges of all 3 panels so that all 3 panels kind of are tied together by that distress ink. I could have used 3 different, but that would have been just too busy for me. So I used the ink, the same distress ink, Vintage Photo, on all 3 panels to kind of bring all 3 panels together. So that is the card I made. So let's go ahead and make this card. All right, so I am also going to be using my Misty tool. You don't need the Misty tool for this. I prefer using the Misty tool because a lot of the time I don't put an even amount of pressure across my cards and I get uneven stamping, and I would hate to waste any cardstock, let alone this beautiful Stampin' Up! Cardstock. So I am going to use my Misty tool. just to make sure that I get a nice clean stamped image. So I am going to go ahead and put my cardstock down, and on this side you can't, well, if I turn it over, you can, the sentiment stamp is right here. I already lined that up. I'm going to use my Versamark ink to ink this stamp up, and it's just a clear embossing ink. I'm going to bring this over, give it a nice good press, and I'm going to do it again just for good measure. And the one step I forgot to do, naughty me, was I forgot to use my anti-static tool on this piece of cardboard. Not cardboard, cardstock. So let's hope this works out for me. Ay, ay, ay. Can I tell you, I do that all the time. That's why my anti-static tool is like practically brand new, because I keep forgetting to use it, but it always works out for me. So lucky for me, can you make that out? It's stamped beautifully. Okay, so let's go ahead, put a piece of paper down here. Going to use my embossing powder. Doesn't take much, just enough to kind of coat it. Going to go ahead and give that a tap. And again, lucky me, I didn't get anything extra sticking onto the cardboard. I keep calling it cardboard, it's cardstock. That's beautiful. Awesome. So this powder, I'm going to go ahead and recover this, because you can totally use this again. Okay, let's close that up. I have my Dairies heat tool, but you can go ahead and obviously use whatever heat tool you have. And if you don't have embossing powder and a heat tool, you can use ink for this project and pretty much accomplish the same result. So let's go ahead and heat this. And I'm going to go back and forth until I see the embossing powder start to melt, and you can see that there. Hopefully the camera's catching that. That's done. Isn't that beautiful? Love that. Look at that. So pretty. Pretty, pretty. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink the edges before I put my panel on. So again, this is Vintage Photo. And you don't have to do this step. And if you want to do this step, you most certainly don't need Distress ink to accomplish this look. All you need is pretty much any ink and a blending tool. So you're not looking to blend on the panel, you're just looking to ink the edges, so any ink will do. Okay. There. I'm going to close this. Put my card there. So here is my 4.5 by 3.5 panel. I'm going to use my ATG. Apply some tape. I don't use my embossing powders as much as I would like to, so I was definitely motivated to use them here, and I'm glad I did because I think the card looks super cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this panel closer to the top of the card. I'm trying to center the sentiment on the bottom so that there's an even amount of space between here and here, and I didn't quite accomplish it, but that's okay. I never ever get these centered right. So we have that. Okay, and then here is the journaling card, which is 4x3. Love these journaling cards. Journaling cards are awesome, so versatile. Great to have on hand to make quick birthday cards. Just about any kind of card. Friendship cards, they're good for pocket letters, they're good for flip books, they're good for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this panel, this journaling card, right there. And I think I am done. There it is. How awesome is this card? Love it. So using all of these same materials, I am making, I think, a total of 10 of these cards in the kind of dove color cardstock background and in the green cardstock background. So what do you think? I think they look awesome. Done and done. So I will continue my card making and leave you to hopefully get into your craft room and make some of your own holiday cards using your stash. And I hope you will visit me again. Until next time, bye-bye.